Is a special night. This is a double feature. I don't know if I've ever did this before with Jazz Cats, but I did some executive rank stuff tonight, and we're going another hour live. I want to capture the moment. So the reason that we're doing this double feature tonight is because we have Pia Broden Williams. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
So now she was here earlier on Mark Scott's show Off the Cuff, but she's a jazz lady, so I had to take advantage of that, and she traveled a little distance, and I just wanted to be the gentleman and make it convenient. I didn't want to miss out. I want to seize the day, if you will. So anyway, that's we're going into a second hour with Pia. So everybody, check it out. She was so impressive to me that I didn't want to sleep on it, and so I thought I'd bring her to you guys because you have to know if you're serious about your jazz or you just appreciate art. Period. You have to know about this lady, and so I think you're gonna be just as impressed as I am. And so tell me afterwards in your comment sections. But without further ado, let's welcome Pia Broden Williams back to the show, back to WJZZ Cool TV. So anyway, thank you for
Thank
hanging
you.
around,
Thank you for having me.
waiting in the lobby
Thank
patiently,
you.
and I appreciate you. So yeah, you were here earlier talking about yourself and everything,
Mhm.
and it blew me away. I love your voice. I like your whole swag, your style. It is
Thank
like
you.
I always get excited when it's like I keep trying to impress upon people and educate them to jazz is a style, it's an attitude, and
Yes.
you are like the epitome of a jazz lady. So I
Oh,
gotta say, and I'm not just blowing smoke because you're on the gas
right.
here. I wouldn't have so much cared or been excited because I really want to have. I'm hardcore with the jazz and with the
Mhm.
art. And people who know me will tell you. So I take it serious, and it's an education for me. So it's just so much stuff about you that I was like, ask her this. You know, so I
Mhm.
just said I got to ask her to stay or come back. So anyway, thank you for
Mhm.
doing this. So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna jump right into it. If you want to know about Tia and all her bio, I mean Pia, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
If you want to know about Pia and all her bio and everything, watch Mark's interview. I want to pick up on the meat of it that I think that I personally want to know. It's my show, so I'm going to ask. But excuse me, the Brazilian thing.
Mhm.
Now, I happen to love bossa nova and all things Brazilian and all of that, right?
Mhm.
But it was impressive to me because that's a whole sound by itself,
Oh, yes.
and so I like that it's distinct. But I was impressed that you have the ability to perform in Portuguese, but you're not fluent in Portuguese. So
No.
how do you even learn the words to a song if you don't know what they mean? Or and I'm sure somebody had to tell you how to pronounce it, and then you have to
Mhm.
remember all that while you're singing. So what's the process for that?
Well, it is a process, let me tell you. But Kyle, my band leader,
Mhm.
is actually fluent in
Okay.
Portuguese. So he helps with some of the pronunciation if I botch some things. But I also started studying in, I think it was 2021, and have been studying ever since. Like I took an online class, but within that time, I lost my father, and so I kind of fell off. But I continued to study just like with regular language apps,
Okay.
and that has helped.
Okay.
So I think I can understand a bit. I can read it much better than I can converse.
Okay.
I most certainly am not able to really hold a conversation, but I can understand what I'm singing and I can understand what I'm reading by and large.
Okay.
And it's helped with my Spanish too.
Okay. So now I have to ask because like and all the romance languages are sexy to me.
Mm.
And then when you couple that with jazz and everything, it's a whole vibe. So I don't. Can you do like little snippets, like something in Portuguese, and maybe you said Spanish, and I don't know if you said French, but just show us your abilities and just give us a little snippet
A little snippet of something in Portuguese.
in whatever other language you can do it in.
Okay. Portuguese, águas de beber, then. Eu que jamais tive medo. Eu quis salvar meu coração. Mas o amor sabe segredo. O medo pode matar o seu coração.
That was a treat. So okay, what about? I'm greedy. That's what my ex-wife used to say all the time. Can you give us something in Spanish?
In Spanish. Huh.
And then French, and then I'm gonna move on. I just want to hear it.
Now I have to really think too hard for the Spanish.
What about French?
Now French, off the top of my head. We'll have to come back to it.
Okay,
I think,
we'll circle back. But you know, I'm
left for you never mind.
well, you know, one of my favorite songs in French is when Eartha Kitt did "C'est Si Bon." So that I listen to that all the time. But earlier today, like Carmen and I, we were talking about. We got on Al Jarreau, and I was telling her how much I appreciate Al Jarreau as one of the. I think he's the greatest male scat artist ever. Mm-hmm. And anyway, help me say it. Águas de beber. Say it. How do you say it?
Águas de beber.
Right.
Water to drink.
Right. I knew it. Like in Spanish, it would be agua, right? Mm-hmm. So
it's still agua.
Yeah. But that's what I heard earlier today. The Al Jarreau version of it. And are you familiar with it? His version? With his. Oh, when you listen to it. Like how he opens up, it's a lot of breath control and everything. And I think his version of it, to me, is my favorite, greatest version of it. And anyway, so that when you just did that and you picked that song, then it was.
Yes, I love that.
It was hot.
That's one of my favorites.
And I heard you say that earlier that swing big band, you really have a passion for that. But then you do this traditional Brazilian thing.
Oh yes.
And then you narrowed your lane to like straight ahead classic quote jazz. So that's like three distinct sounds.
Yeah, I know.
So and then you were talking about how the big band is more restrictive, and so you don't get to express all of yourself in the big band stage.
Just some arrangements, for instance, like the phrasing has to be very particular because you have the call and response elements, so you can't play around so much. Like I can't hold a note so long, like. Something that was just pointed out to me in rehearsal was like, well, can you please phrase it this way because you're stepping on the saxes. So I was like, okay. So I had to make an adjustment. Whereas I was used to singing that particular tune with a little bit more freedom because I had been singing it with combos for years and hadn't sung that particular arrangement. And it was like, oh. I was off the chart. I wasn't actually looking at a chart. I'm just singing the song because I know the song.
Right.
But you have to be very cognizant of all the elements when you have a big band arrangement, as opposed to having just a voice and a rhythm section. Okay.
Now, and help me because it's an education for me too. Like how you just broke that down. But I know. Spanish, Portuguese, they have the reputation for being very sexual. And do you like, as a woman and an artist, does that factor in, like when you perform doing the Brazilian stuff, you get to be more like more body language, or you get to dress different, or you get to be more aggressive as a woman? Does that
I
factor in?
haven't really like stepped into that, like
Okay.
because it's not because I'm not really a part of that culture. I mean, I'm sort of I'm singing the music, but I'm not from there, so I don't know all of the context, if you
Okay.
will.
Okay.
So, like, there was one song that I did last year at Arts Beats and Eats that was a merengue, and apparently some of the words were really like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just singing words, but I didn't know what the context really was because it's not my language. This was Spanish, by
Okay.
the way. So it was like,
Well, do you okay?
oh,
Do you find yourself? And I'm asking this as a male fan, right? I'm not shy about my admiration for women
hmm
and all things beautiful and artistic. But I'm saying traditionally, like this is way before I came along. I notice no matter what the era is, women, no matter like Celia Cruz and
oh yes.
Shakira, like different lanes, but it's just something about that Latin flavor. Do you find yourself when you performing the Brazilian stuff,
hmm
do you get freer mentally? Do you find yourself swaying a little more, or do you sometimes hold that?
I'm already pretty. I'd like to think that I'm already pretty free, but I took one samba class.
Okay,
I will say I took one. It's always been my intention to take more samba, but who you have to find the time. But I had an amazing samba teacher. She's I think she's in Southfield,
okay,
um, and she's incredible. Anyway, she had us going
her name's
really
not
going.
Marta, is it?
No, her name is Caroline.
Okay, okay,
And she, I can't think of the name of her class right now,
yeah,
but anyway, she's really good and she's a samba queen.
okay,
And her, you know, she had it was like, not enough hip, this is like, this has got to be enough hip. But
okay,
it wasn't enough hip. It's
okay.
like,
Yeah,
she was like,
that's
she
what
had her
I'm.
hand right here. She said, more. It was like, more, more.
Yeah,
But
see, that's what I'm
anyway,
talking about. Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
so she's spectacular, and we had her at Fogo de Chão. That I want to mention that the Brazilian band that I play with is the house band for Fogo de Chão in Troy, the Brazilian
Okay,
steakhouse on 16 Mile or Big Beaver, and they had a carnival celebration last year, and
okay,
I don't know if we're going to do it this year, maybe, but we haven't talked about it, but maybe that's in the works. But Caroline came and she danced, and she had on the full regalia,
okay,
and it was incredible. And just seeing that in the carnival element, and this is about to be carnival again,
okay.
you know, is something to behold.
Yeah, it's spectacular. I watch it on TV.
Yes.
But you know, and so, and the lady I was talking about, Marta Cruz,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't recall the name of her studio
Mm.
either. I'm pretty sure it's in Livonia
Okay.
from memory, but big shouts out to Caroline and
Mm-hmm.
Marta for,
Yes. The
for,
sambistas.
there you go. See, I learned something else again. Didn't never heard that word before, but there you go. Okay, so now that leaves the straight ahead classic lane. What is it that attracts you about that?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's like another whole different lane.
Oh my goodness. When you listen to the music, right, there are so many YouTube videos that make you feel like you're there
Hmm.
um, during the samba season, or not the samba season, the carnival.
Hmm.
Um, and there are all the samba schools, and you like start to like a particular samba school.
Yeah.
Um, I like Beija Flor, for instance. It's like Hummingbird.
Okay.
That's I like their songs and I like their blue. Anyway, you see them all dressed up, basically dressed to kill. Some of the sambistas with their high heels. I don't know how they do it, by the way,
Okay. Okay.
with the high heels and dancing the way that they do. It's incredible.
So
So I'm drawn to it when I watch that, and you just feel the energy, and you want to be there. It's like, and you feel the rhythm. It's like in you, and when you're being a part of the African diaspora, we all have that rhythm in us,
you
and
got me wanting to go home and get a beer and watch it tonight. I might if I can find the energy. But everybody, you're watching Jazz Cats right here on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and other top social media outlets. Like us, follow us, share, and subscribe. You're hanging in there with us. We appreciate it for our double feature tonight. We got Pia Broden Williams here. She's a Flint native and hanging out in Detroit now, making her name known to all of us down this way. And she's representing Lake Orion as well. Lake Orion, big shouts out to Lake Orion. We don't normally get anybody shouting out Lake Orion. So, Lake Orion, now you all have to follow Pia and give her props for representing Lake Orion. So, and we might as well throw Pontiac in there too while we're on Lake Orion out that way. But anyway, um, like us and follow us, share, subscribe. We're here on WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, and we really want your support so we can keep tightening up our game and help spread this culture message around the world coming out of Detroit. So, Pia, I want to give it like I just find you fascinating. I want how long because I know earlier when you were on the other show earlier, you talked about being around music and performance all your life. But when did you decide? When did you feel like, hey, I think I might want to do this? And then when did you get the confidence to do it?
to do
To
jazz
perform.
or
Just
to
perform.
in general.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up in the church,
Okay.
so of course I was used to singing in front of people. Um, I sang with my sisters. We were the Broden sisters at first, and then my brother came up, and he got a little older, and he joined us. So then we were just the Broden kids, or
Okay.
the Broden children. What would we the Brodens?
Yeah.
And we sang in church and church programs. A lot of like Kirk Franklin songs.
Okay.
So we were already singing in front of people. And then from there, I had a gospel sextet of females, all females. We modeled ourselves after Take Six.
Okay.
So we were like the female version of Take Six.
Harmonizing and all that.
Yes,
Okay.
I mean the intricate, elaborate, rich and thick harmonies that Take Six had. That was what we were after, and I sang like the fourth down.
Okay.
And my best friend sang the bass, so she was our female stand-up bass. It
Okay.
was really good, really
Okay.
good. I thought we were pretty good, but everyone kind of went their separate ways. People got married and had kids. And
So-
that was the end of that.
So what made you zoom in on jazz?
Now jazz, that's a whole other story. As I mentioned
Tell
in
us.
the previous, when I was in college, I wanted to go for piano because as I said, I took it for granted that I grew up singing. Everyone around me could sing, so I thought that isn't anything. Anybody can sing.
Right.
Everyone can sing. That's nothing. I wanted to play piano. I auditioned. I did okay. And then it was like, okay, so this isn't coming as easily. Maybe I'll try singing. And so I instead got in as a voice major
Okay.
and studied classical voice, but also took jazz classes. And that's when I learned about jazz. My dad played jazz, but he liked fusion.
Okay.
So I heard a lot of things like George Howard, Gerald Albright, Joe Sample. I didn't hear a lot. Oh, Al Jarreau. I did hear
Right.
Al Jarreau, a lot of that, but not a lot of the old ones. And I didn't hear Ella. I didn't hear Sarah Vaughan. I didn't
Yeah.
hear I didn't hear any Billie Holiday at all. So these were all things that I didn't learn until I got to college in like a jazz appreciation class, and it just blew my mind. It's like, what? I want to do that. So I learned verbatim Ella Fitzgerald's Airmail Special
Okay.
and performed it with the ensemble at school, and that was so fun. By the way, that was really fun. Just quoted the whole thing
Okay.
and fell in love, completely fell in love with that style of jazz. And going to, in our jazz ensemble at the time were two band leaders, big band leaders in the area.
Okay.
They were sort of returning for a second degree, or I don't know why they were there. I'm glad they were there, but I don't know why they were there. They were retirees who were just in the jazz ensemble at the college. And they heard me and had me join their big bands. That was the Nightlights in Lake Orion and Tuxedo Junction, based out of Holly. So that's how I really got my start singing jazz, was all
Okay.
through U of M
Okay.
in
Okay.
Flint.
Well, that's cool. Hey, we need to know. So I ask this a lot to all the different artists. So, do you remember your first professional gig? When, where it was, and how did it go? Was it a hit? Was it a flop?
Hmm. Well, I don't remember when my first, like, what my actual
Your first jazz gig? Let me.
my first jazz gig, like,
Yeah.
I remember having so many nerves. I don't remember exactly where it was. We were doing all sorts of, like, wedding receptions and music in the parks.
Okay.
Those were the sorts of things that we were doing with the big band, and I remember being way nervous every time. So I had a little tiger's eye stone that I had in my hand, and I would
Okay.
repeat this mantra, like I was sitting there, like saying this thing over and over and over and over again, until it was time for me to get up and sing my little girl
Okay.
girl singer song. And usually it was something pretty simple, like The Sunny Side of the Street, but yeah, it was
Okay.
scary. It was very scary.
Excuse me. Okay.
I was young and scared.
Do you remember the venue? Is it any venue that stands out that you just love the venue where you perform at?
Yes, there've been several. One that stands out was at Oakland University. There have been several really incredible, like, wedding receptions that were
Mhm.
pretty magical. I was like, wow, they are really lucky people.
Okay.
But I can't think of, like, specifically the
Yeah.
name of the venue.
Okay.
I know we've done Cranbrook was really nice
Okay. Yeah.
on the grounds.
Yeah. Cranbrook is that's nice. It's a nice place.
Yes, that was nice.
Yeah.
That was what I liked. And up in the UP, but I don't remember what the name of that venue was. but
Yeah.
that
Now
was
see, I
nice.
can't imagine they even like jazz in the UP. So that's news to me. Thanks for letting me know, because I say we're going to be everywhere, and I have to admit I didn't put the UP on there, but I'll check
They
it out.
did.
I'll investigate. Well, you already spoke about some of your influences. It seems to be the classic ladies, the Sarahs and Dinahs and all that.
Yes.
Who is it? Any more contemporary new artists that you really like, or like name some of your favorites nowadays, if you have any?
Well, that are still singing and making. Well, I
Yeah.
mentioned Dee Dee.
Oh, yeah, Dee Dee Bridgewater, yeah.
She's still recording,
Mhm.
and of course, who doesn't love Samara?
Yeah. I mean,
That's
yeah.
she's pretty incredible. Just her phrasing and her presence on stage, and the effortlessness that she has with her entire range is
Yeah.
something to be commended and to aspire to.
As they say, a natural.
because-
She's a natural.
Yes, it's not something that we always remember or think of to do, to
Mhm.
go from one extreme to the other in your voice in one song.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really appreciate her. I tip my hat to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, and not being corny or anything like that. I think like you have that same vibe. That you know, that's why I really want everybody to check you out. Describe in the spirit of that. Well, describe your style. Like you tell us. Like we art is in the eye of the beholder. But you, I want to know what you say your style is.
Well, I think of myself as being more artistic. I want to be more expressive. I want the swing element, but I also want to be more fluid, and I want to just show off the real range that I have
Hmm.
at all as much as possible, and be able to do that in a creative way. So creative and jazzy.
Okay, okay. Now, any signature stylings or anything about you that we can look for that we know it's you?
No, it's me. Oh
Yeah.
my. Oh, see, this is where finding one's own voice really comes in, and
Yeah.
even knowing what one's own voice is. There are certain little things that I find myself doing that are from my dad. Like
Okay.
I know that I like dad would have done that, or there are little things that I have taken from Ella, who's my favorite,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then second to Ella is Dee Dee. So those two, I love their voices.
What I love about Dee Dee Bridgewater, who's a Flint native too,
Absolutely.
is like her style is like just casual.
Mhm.
Like she's not even trying. It's like yeah,
No.
you know, it's
Mhm.
like great
Mhm.
but effortless.
Mhm.
It is like do you think about this? Well, you just it comes out. So that's like her. She's so to me so casual that it's just like water flow. It's just
Mhm.
happening and
Mhm.
that's it. You know.
And to be perfectly honest, I feel like I'm still finding like who I am within all of that.
So how long have you been uh, doing jazz specifically? Like.
So I took a break to go back for my graduate degree
Hmm.
in vocal performance because at the time um, my it was conflicting. The two styles couldn't work together in my voice. I
Hmm.
needed to take a break from jazz in order to be able to sing classically.
Okay.
So I took a long break from jazz. And in that time, too, I became a mom. And so I was only focused on singing classical music during that period of time.
Okay.
So post pandemic, I, I kind of went full circle and now I'm back to jazz.
Okay. Cool.
Hmm.
Now, you it's break time again. So I want to make sure you let the people know how to find you and support you. So plug all your social media, all of that.
Wonderful. So I'm at www.piabrodenwilliams.com. That's my actual website. And then you can find me on Facebook at Pia Broden Williams or Instagram, same, Pia Broden Williams, and also on YouTube. I'm not on anything else. That's it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And what about gigs? You got anything happening? Tell us where to go.
Yes, on January the 27th, I'll be at the Detroit Club. That will be from 7 to 11. And I'll be with a trio. Then on the first Sunday of every month, you can find me at Fogo de Chão in Troy with Kanja Jiboa.
Mhm.
And that's for Samba Sunday from 12 to 2,
Okay.
brunch.
Okay. So yeah, so you got time to come there and then go do some other stuff.
Hmm.
And everybody, you know, I hope you're enjoying Pia and enjoying me for that matter. But thanks for watching Jazz Cats, the coolest show. about jazz and on the coolest network, which is WJZZ Cool TV. We're independent around here, so you know we really need you and count on you. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, send us your suggestions in the comments. If you have any local talent in your area, please feel free to hit me up. If you have music you want to get on the air, as long as it's jazz, I'll consider it. It's got to be good. So stand behind your product and get it to me. Listen to the jazz on WJZZ, DetroitJazzRadio.com. It's the world's oldest jazz station, and we're representing it to the fullest. And I appreciate you all, and thanks for tuning in. You can find us here every Tuesday at 9 p.m. And then every now and then I'll throw in a surprise, and you get a double feature like tonight and a guest like Pia. So, Pia, ambitions. Ambitions. Tell us your ambitions, not just in jazz, but like help us like really know the essence of you. The what? So that's where your jazz comes from. So what's your ambitions?
So one of the things that I really want to do is record my own music. I've been so focused on singing the standards and doing a good job of singing the standards. That's a whole thing in an art form in and of itself. But one of the things I really would love to do is to find my own voice, as I mentioned before, and in the form of my own music.
Okay.
I've written a couple, but they're unfinished, you know, and so one thing I want to do is that. So I'm going to record soon, I hope,
Okay.
some of my own original material, and also do a classical recording. So those are two things I want to do.
And I was curious about this because I like classical as well. Jazz is my favorite, but I like all kinds of music and I appreciate art. How is it a blend for you, or do you see any correlations between classic music and artistry and the jazz, or is just juxtaposed? One is this and one is that. Do you see any type of harmony blend between them?
There are some areas where I can kind of walk the line. I mentioned before in the previous program, Summertime, and that's one, even when you're singing it classically, you can give that a little bit more expression, I feel. And I can also sing it completely differently when I sing it in a jazz style.
Okay.
And then there are some other art songs that are more of a blend of jazz, and you can just tell that it's a jazz influence that I've done in the past too.
Okay.
And memory is completely shot right now.
Hey,
but
you're doing a lot.
one of my favorites is the title of the art song is Old Sir Falk, and it's spelled Faulk. Now that particular art song is very jazzy. It's very jazzy, but you sing it with your classical voice, but you can, Old Sir Falk told us a stock.
Okay.
And it's walk and stalk with a gun. They have a colored sun, and you just kind of go. It has a swing,
Okay.
and you even have the instrumentation behind it. It's very kind of maybe 20s,
Okay.
1920s, 1930s.
Okay. Okay. Hey.
So that's classical, but it's also jazz. So you
Right,
put
right.
it together.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's a bit frustrating for me, but it's an inspiration at the same time to help get people out of the mindset that you can put jazz in a category sonically or otherwise. Like jazz is the way you dress, the way you move, the way you talk, how you think. Like to me, it's the essence of how you think. So of course, all art is considered jazzy to me, and that's why I really appreciated Miles Davis as far as temperamental and moody and all that, and his reputation, I never had to pleasure of meeting him or even be cussed out by him. But I can understand his frustration that he didn't even like the word jazz, you know.
Mhm.
So, but we
Mhm.
can't put it in a box. It's an art form that's a
Mhm.
national treasure, and you can't. It's like a wild animal. You to
Right.
appreciate it, you gotta let it free and watch
Mhm.
what it does. You can't try to corral it or cage it in any kind of way. So I appreciate you um, pointing out the nuances and all these different
I
musical
would say that
influences.
I'm really it is sort of frustrating to hear people try to define what jazz is. You know, sometimes like, it has to be this is what jazz is. But like, well, there are so many different styles. It's very difficult to just say only this is jazz, and I don't like how restrictive that can be.
Right, and neither do I. And like when I hear any piano riffs or violin riffs in jazz, I automatically think about classical music.
Mhm.
But here's the kicker: you have to appreciate and know about classical music to even kind of notice that. So
Mhm.
I push everybody to expand your mind
Mhm.
artistically, and if you don't like it, but let your kids be exposed to it, you know. So that was
It's all art.
my little teachable moment.
Yes.
But you mentioned poetry, that you are a poet,
Hmm.
right?
Well, at least I was. I
Well,
haven't
I
been
mean,
writing in a
I
long
don't know. It's like,
time.
once a poet, always a poet, I would think. So why do you say once upon a time versus it's in you like everything else? So you put the jazz on hold.
Mhm.
So what made the poetry get put on hold, and is that coming back? Is that muse gonna kick
Perhaps.
in and do this, push you back out there?
Well, my inspiration for poetry was, oftentimes, they say that for art, sometimes it comes from pain or
Hmm.
from suffering of some sort. And, when you're happy, it's kind of hard to find that. So, I mean, yay, I'm happy. So you don't really
Well, you
feel
could do
so much.
poems
I
about
mean, I
happiness.
could be, I could do, yes, odes to joy, yes.
Yeah.
But but for me, I found a lot of that inspiration through going through something, and I don't feel like I'm really going through
Okay.
to
Well, that's
things.
the bright side. Life is
I'm
good.
on the bright side
Yeah.
of things. Yes, life is good, so
So
it's kind of hard
no
to.
blues tunes coming
I
out
don't
of you
have.
no
Yeah, I'm
time
like I'm
soon.
not feeling too blue.
Okay.
I'm
Well, then
too sunny.
we'll move right along there. So let me see, what else did I make notes of? Mention some of the artists that you've worked with, and maybe some that you want to work with.
Oh my heavens! Like people that I've worked with, that like local
I,
people.
whoever you
Mm.
have enjoyed working with, and you want to give them their flowers right
Okay.
now.
Yes. Well, I want to give my the Brazilian band that I work with their flowers first and foremost, because without them, I would not have started again on this journey. So that's Kyle Kanjar, um, who's the guitarist for the band. It was his whole thing that was like that really got me thinking again that I should
Okay.
re-enter this. And Michelle Urania, amazing saxophonist and flautist, and Gordon Krupski. So that's the Kanja Jiboa. Love them. They're wonderful. And now I'm a part of the Stardusters, and I do love working with them.
And
They're
that's the big band
fantastic. That's the
element.
big
Now,
band.
what does that name mean? The Portuguese name of the group, because I can't even say it.
Oh, Kanja Jiboa. That
Kanja
means,
Jiboa.
yes,
Okay.
good soup.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So, and now, artists you would like to work with.
Oh,
I know it's a
there's
vast list, but your dream list. Who's your dream list?
my dream list. Um, Robert Glasper.
Okay, that's now I would have never.
Aim high.
Yeah, not only that, but I never thought that you would say him. I didn't. That didn't even pop in my mental.
Yes, I'm like, uh, if we're talking
Yeah,
dreams,
yeah, yeah,
dream.
yeah.
That's a dream.
That's your dream
That's
list.
a dream
Robert
list.
Glasper.
It's
Okay,
probably on the very top.
okay,
Yeah, and then there are so many greats I love to work with.
okay.
So
All right. Okay, and you already gave us the language samples, and we talked about the venues. Is it any particular room you want to work? Any particular venue that you like? I gotta get there.
well, there's oh my goodness. I've thought of like Carnegie Hall. Like I
Okay.
would love to perform there. And if we're talking local, then like places like I haven't been anywhere really.
Okay.
So all of the big names I would love to play in the local area.
Okay. And I'm gonna get to that. Well, let's get to it right now. Native of Flint,
Hmm.
and you got a lot of exposure to the world in college, and now you ended up in Lake Orion, which is a, you know, little ways from Flint, but still out that way, as us Detroiters would say. I'm a native Detroiter.
Hmm.
What is the attraction to get your eye on Detroit? You see, I asked that uh, as a person being here all my life for the most part. It was a time everybody went the other way, and you couldn't drag people into Detroit, and, and nobody wanted to come. So is it just the business, like, hey, I'm here, I'm close by, so I'm gonna go, or is it like a real something, a pull that makes you? Because you could have your eye on New York or wherever,
Mm.
and I'm assuming you would take a gig wherever it happens to be. But is it a particular reason that you find Detroit attractive, or is it just it's the convenience of it being close to you and it's a big city to work in?
Well, of course, it's those things, but more than anything, it's just the history of Detroit. See,
Okay.
being from Flint, we wanted to go to Detroit because
Okay.
that's where everything was. It's where things are happening. That's where the Detroit Jazz Festival is. You have the African World Festival. You've got so many different things going on always in Detroit.
Yeah.
And of course, the Michigan Opera Theater is there. The Detroit Opera is there.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've always had my eye on Detroit for the arts
Okay.
for as long as I can remember, um, and why would I want to go anywhere else?
Okay. Hey, I feel the same way. I just have to ask certain types of questions. It's not for me.
I
It's
mean,
so
of
much for
course,
the people.
and Flint has its own identity, and it has the Flint Cultural Center was a wonderful place in which to hone my skills and work and grow, and wonderful colleagues, and Flint has a lot to offer too. So I'm not selling Flint short in any way when I say that Detroit is really a historic gem when it comes to jazz and the
Yeah.
arts, and this is where Baker's is. It's where it's where Cliff Bell's is. It's where
Yeah, yeah.
I've been to Baker's Keyboard Lounge.
Okay.
So yes,
Now, so, and I'm still on this Detroit thing for a minute. Have you heard the reputation, entertainment wise, that Detroit is a hard crowd to win over and please? Have you heard that?
I've heard that from comedians, not necessarily
Well,
from musicians, but I definitely have heard it from comedians.
When we were talking, Cameron and I were talking about it in the first segment, and I've all my life and having family that were successful in the music business, and that was in '60s, '70s. I heard it. And I've experienced it, and I think I'm discriminating taste that I'm guilty of it too. It is a rough crowd, but once you win them, if you win them, and it's based on the whole package, then it's like, then we ride with you forever. It's like what they
Okay.
do in sports, riding with the Lions.
Yes,
They,
right.
when they should have threw the
Yes.
towel in 30 years ago. Now look, it's paying off. But anyway, yeah, it's so I just wanted to know. I was curious that because everybody hears about all the Motown and the renaissance of it and
Mm-hmm.
all this talent and all, yeah, that's the, but then when you step into the lion's den
Mm.
and you're up there on the stage
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's like, now what you gonna do, and then they say it,
Yes. Yes.
and so it makes it crazy. But I'm curious. I want to be at your show. Like, I'm gonna come to the Detroit club. I hang out
Wow.
there a little bit. That's where I got turned on to opera at.
Okay.
And
Really?
so all my life I was like, my mother tried and tried, sidebar, to get me to be refined in culture, and she spent a lot of money doing it. And I was like, nope, 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 nope. And she didn't even like me using the word nope. But so I never gave it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was at a friend of mine that's a member uh, invited me, and I went, and I liked it. And
The opera?
yeah, and I liked it, and I was like, it was Ride of the Valkyries, Wagner, and all that. So I was like, man, and then it was
Big voices.
yeah, then it was another one at the Players, and so I started asking her, hey, when is it gonna be another opera show and this and that. So I ended up liking it. Now I go all the time and hang out. So I'm gonna come see you. That's my point. I'm gonna come to check you
Yay.
out. You have to give me all the dates and everything. But yeah, we're running out of time. I got to make sure I get all this stuff in. So we talked about. I asked that. I said jazz and man. I asked all these questions already. So now we're just gonna have to freestyle these last few minutes.
Okay.
Give me your opinion about jazz culture. Is it blossoming?
Hmm.
Like, I think it's ready for a whole new revolution of investment. Just what's the state of jazz in your opinion? Because you've been like you know the suburban
Mhm.
outlook on it, and you probably can tell the economics, how supportive they are versus other markets. So just give me your take. Is it healthy? Is jazz culture healthy, alive and well, or is it on life support, or
Hmm.
like what do you want to see happen? Like, give me your opinion about the culture.
Well, I see a culture that can be very collaborative, which I like.
Okay.
I like the camaraderie that I'm seeing among jazz vocalists. I'm seeing a lot of more of sisterhood for the female jazz vocalists than I would have otherwise expected.
Okay.
Like, I would have expected it to be a little bit more, not competitive, but not positively competitive. If
Okay.
you know what I mean by that. But
Right.
I see it as being a lot more supportive, which is not something that I really expected coming in after such a long break. So I was surprised.
Okay.
That was nice.
Okay.
A happy surprise, really, to find, people being that positive. And that kind of made me feel really good, honestly.
Okay.
That people love the music and they're at their core good people and not like gonna stab you in the back, or
Right.
maybe they will.
But I mean,
But I haven't.
overall, you feel inspired.
Overall, I feel that people are very supportive and seem very genuine to me, and I think everyone gets what they put in,
Okay.
and if you are willing to work hard at your craft and you are professional and you know your stuff, that you will be rewarded. And I think that there's still the interest in jazz as an art form is still there. I see that people are still seeking to listen to jazz, learn how to play jazz, and learn instruments. I worry about there not being enough kids taking up instruments in schools, but I think that people are becoming a little bit more intentional in that now.
Right.
That, you know, the call has gone forth.
Right.
It's
Well,
out there.
I agree with everything you said. So on that note, we're going to say good night to everybody. Thank you, Pia, for
Thank you
hanging
for having
around,
me.
coming back, doing the show. This is just the first of many. We'll see you soon. Maybe we'll see you in Carnegie Hall. Hope
Maybe.
so. And everybody, thank you again. I'll see you next Tuesday at 9 p.m. right here on Jazz Cats on Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Good night, everybody. Snuggle up, and I'll see you